Paddy Pimblett is walking into the biggest moment of his career on January 24th. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. This is either his coronation or the night the sport reminds him it doesn't care about your brand. Not your haircut, not your accent.
Oh my God, if you just called someone that word, I was like, what?
Not your Instagram clips. The cage is a very honest place. And Justin Gaethje is basically the IRS of honesty. He shows up, audits your defense, and takes what you owe in pain. And the timing couldn't be more chaotic. I'm Reggie Cross for Behind the Lines. Let's get into this. UFC 324 was supposed to have that stat card, big fight energy feel, but the entire week got weird after Kayla Harrison's title fight with Amanda Nunes was postponed because Harrison needed neck surgery. That's not gossip. That's real life showing up and knocking a co-main event off the board. So now, for a lot of fans, the emotional weight shifts. And that main event, Gaethje versus Pimblett, doesn't just headline the show, it becomes the show. The UFC didn't just book a fight here, they booked an argument. Because this isn't a normal title fight. It's an interim lightweight title fight, and it exists because Topuria, your undisputed champion, hasn't been available. The UFC isn't planning to strip him, which means the company is basically saying, we're keeping the crown where it is, but we still need somebody to carry the division right now. That's how you end up with an interim belt that feels like a championship and a tryout at the exact same time. And that's where the temperature rises, because people look at this matchup and go, hold up, why Paddy? Let's not pretend we don't know the conversation. There are contenders in this division who have been living in the rankings like they pay rent there. And one of the loudest names attached to the backlash has been Arman Tsarukyan, because fans see a higher-ranked guy, and they see Pimblett getting a rocket strapped to his back, and they start yelling, industry plant, like it's a courtroom. Now, whether you agree with that or not, it's the reality of the discourse. And here's the tricky part. The UFC doesn't sell rankings. The UFC sells moments. The UFC sells emotion. And Paddy Pimblett is an emotion machine. He's chaos with a smile. He's a walking headline. But if you're Paddy, none of that matters if you can't handle what's in front of you. Because what's in front of him is Justin Gaethje. And Gaethje is not just tough. Tough is what your uncle calls himself because he grills shirtless in winter. Gaethje is a career built on controlled damage. He's pressure, leg kicks, and the kind of punch that doesn't just hurt, it changes the rest of your decisions. And Paddy, for his part, is talking like a man who plans to meet fire with gasoline. He's been saying he's open to standing with Gaethje, that he'll go blow for blow, that people underestimate his striking. He even talked about a blueprint being there, basically saying, if Max could do it, I can do it. Now listen, confidence is good. You need confidence. But there's a difference between confidence and volunteering for a car crash because you like the sound of the horn. Because standing with Gaethje isn't just a striking duel, it's a discipline test. Gaethje isn't scary because he swings hard. He's scary because he forces you to move in ways you don't want to move. He touches your legs and suddenly your stance is different. You try to circle out and the fence shows up like a third opponent. You shell up and he rips the body. You exchange because you're proud, and then you're blinking at the lights wondering why your mouth tastes like pennies. So when Paddy says, I'll keep it standing, the real question is, does he mean it? Or is he selling confidence so Gaethje has to respect it? Because Paddy's best pathway has always been the messy part of MMA, the part that isn't pretty, the part where the fight turns into a wrestling match against the fence, then a scramble, then a weird moment where a guy stands up the wrong way and suddenly his neck is being hugged like it owes money. That's why this matchup is fascinating. Paddy is awkward on purpose. He's one of those fighters who doesn't always look textbook, but he's dangerous because he doesn't move like your average sparring partner. And awkward fighters are annoying because you can't time them clean. Your brain wants patterns. He won't give you the pattern you want. But Gaethje is also the kind of fighter who makes awkward expensive. He punishes bad exits, he punishes sloppy entries, he punishes the little moments where you're thinking instead of reacting. And if Paddy's chin is even slightly high, or his feet are even slightly too square, Gaethje will find it. Pause real quick. Behind the lines is simple. Coach's eye, uncomfortable truth. If that's your lane, like and subscribe. We're about to get into the sequence that separates future champ from viral highlight. And Gaethje is ruthless about making that difference obvious. So how does this actually play out when the cage door shuts? The first 3 minutes matter more than people realize, because early, Paddy's fresh. Early, he's bouncy. Early, he's confident. That's when he'll be most tempted to prove a point. Touch gloves, smile, and start exchanging like this is a highlight reel audition. But Gaethje doesn't care about your audition tape. Early, Gaethje is going to try to take your legs. Not because it looks cool, because it changes your options. A compromised lead leg makes your takedown entries slower. It makes your level changes lazier. It makes your ability to scramble worse. And if Paddy's plan involves turning this into chaos, he needs his legs to cooperate. Then there's the fence. Everyone talks about "don't get backed up" like it's a motivational quote. In reality, the fence is where Gaethje becomes a different kind of predator. He doesn't have to chase as much. Your exits get predictable. And predictable is deadly against a guy who throws hooks like he's trying to knock the confidence out of your childhood. So, Paddy needs to decide something early. Is he going to play the long game, or is he going to chase the moment? Because the long game looks like this. Threaten the takedown without forcing it. Make Gaethje think about hips. Clinch when Gaethje plants. Make it ugly. Sap his rhythm. And when Gaethje starts muscling out, when he's trying to peel hands, when he's trying to explode away, that's when the scramble opens up. And that's when Paddy can steal a back or find a choke in the transition. But if Paddy chases the moment, if he gets into a pride-based shootout because he wants to silence critics in real time, then we're talking about a very short night. And that's why this fight has so much tension. Not just because of the style clash, because of the stakes behind it. This interim title is not a cute accessory. It's a message. It says, you're the guy right now, but the undisputed champ is still sitting up there, and the UFC isn't looking to strip him. Topuria has indicated he plans to defend within the next several months, which means whoever wins at UFC 324 could end up in a weird spot. Interim champ, but not the king, and maybe even forced to defend the interim belt before the unification happens. That's not just a fight outcome. That's a career timeline. That's money. That's leverage. That's who the UFC calls when they need a headliner. And if you want to understand why people are so heated about why Paddy, it's because fans feel like the interim belt is being used as a shortcut to the throne. That's the accusation. That's the vibe. And Paddy has been fighting that narrative as loudly as he's been fighting opponents. Basically saying the goalposts move no matter what he does. Beat a guy, they say he was washed. Beat another, they say he's old. Win the belt, they say the belt is fake. And honestly, he's not wrong about the goalposts moving. Sports fans love moving goalposts. It's cardio for the thumbs. But here's the thing. Sometimes the goalposts move because the questions are real. And that's why Alexander Volkanovski picking Paddy adds gasoline to this whole situation. Because Volk isn't some random guy yelling in a comment section. He's a high-level mind who's been in the kind of fights that require real reads, timing, composure, small details. And he said publicly he likes Paddy in this matchup. Now, that doesn't mean Paddy wins, but it does mean there are smart people looking at Paddy and seeing something the crowd might be missing. Maybe the awkwardness, maybe the improvements, maybe the way he breaks rhythm and makes fights messy. And messy fights are where Gaethje has historically lived. But messy fights also come with risk, because chaos doesn't always respect experience. So let's put the hype in one hand and the consequences in the other, and talk win conditions, cleanly. If Paddy wins this fight, it probably doesn't look like a movie. It looks like friction. It looks like clinch moments that don't feel important until the second round when you realize Gaethje's output has dipped a little. It looks like Paddy making Gaethje reset, making him turn, making him fight hands. It looks like Paddy finding a scramble not from a perfect takedown, but from a weird trip, a body lock, a moment where Gaethje tries to shake him off and gives him a window. And then it looks like Paddy doing what he does best, snatching something in transition. A back take, a neck, a squeeze, something sudden that makes everyone go, wait, it's over? If Gaethje wins, it's the opposite. It's efficiency disguised as violence. It's him investing in the legs early, then punishing the exits, then forcing Paddy to make choices at a pace he can't maintain. It's Gaethje turning every exchange into attacks. Every time Paddy swings, he pays for it. Every time Paddy backs up, he pays for it. Every time Paddy stands tall, he pays for it. And eventually, it becomes one of those Gaethje nights where the crowd is loud, Paddy's face is marked up, and that smile starts showing up less. Because the fight has turned from, I'm here to prove something, into, I'm in here with a man who does this for a living. So here's my pick. I think Paddy will have moments, real moments, because he's awkward, he's fearless, and he's improved enough to make the opening minutes uncomfortable. But if he commits to that, I'll keep it on the feet promise for too long. If he turns this into a pride contest instead of an MMA contest, I lean Gaethje. The longer the fight stays upright at Gaethje range, the more it becomes his kind of math. The twist is, the most dangerous version of Paddy is the one who doesn't try to win Twitter arguments inside the cage. The most dangerous version of Paddy is the one who mixes everything, makes it ugly, and steals something when the other guy is trying to escape. My final pick is Paddy by submission. And that's why this is must watch. Because UFC 324 isn't just Gaethje versus Pimblett. It's hype versus consequence. It's the UFC betting that star power and timing can outrun the rankings debate. And it's two very different career arcs colliding for an interim belt that might feel like gold until the undisputed king walks back into the room. Now I want to hear from you. Does Paddy pull off the upset and make the division burn? Or does Gaethje turn this into a welcome to the top moment? And if Paddy wins, do you even believe the critics stop moving the goalposts, or do they just pick them up and sprint again? I'm Reggie Cross for Behind the Lines. If you're feeling the vibe, hit that subscribe, and remember, hype fades, legacy don't. Peace. 745